We are asking again the government of Kenya. Is it, as matters stand today, is it safe for opposition politicians in Uganda to enter Kenya?
Kenyans are finding it increasingly difficult to trust President Ruto's government, and no matter how much the president tries to clean up the image of his administration, the more Kenyans seem to yearn for his political downfall. Barely had the dust settled on President Ruto's spat with the Catholic Church when his government found itself embroiled in another scandal. This time, the mysterious abduction of Uganda's opposition leader, Dr. Kizza Besigye, on Kenyan soil. On November 20th, reports surfaced that Dr. Besigye, once President Museveni's personal doctor and now his biggest political rival, had vanished in Kenya. He had traveled to Nairobi to attend the launch of Martha Karua's book, only to be abducted and whisked away by shadowy figures. According to various reports, Besigye was driven across the border into Uganda and eventually detained in a military prison. But the shocking part is, all of this allegedly happened under the noses of Kenyan authorities, raising uncomfortable questions about how such an operation could occur unnoticed. Dr. Besigye arrived in Nairobi on Saturday, November 16th, landing at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport before checking into Waridi Paradise Hotel in Hurlingham. From there, he arranged a meeting with an individual, let's call him Jeff, though his real name remains unknown. This man, reportedly a senior Uganda military officer, was no ordinary guest and had a connection that could explain Kizza's abduction. And you know very well that Kizza is an opposition leader in Uganda, and if this man is a military officer, then your guess is as good as mine. The two who didn't agree on the issue they were talking about. The two met in an apartment on the 11th floor of Block C in a nearby complex. That meeting was the last time Dr. Besigye was seen in Kenya. His phone went silent, and those close to him were left in the dark. Eyewitnesses' accounts suggest that he may have been dragged and transported to Uganda unconscious, bypassing Kenyan borders controls without raising alarms. Adding to the mystery, guards at the apartment complex claimed to know nothing about Besigye's visit, and when journalists requested CCTV footage, the management refused to release it, deepening suspicions about the involvement of both Kenyan and Ugandan authorities in the abduction. Dr. Besigye's wife raised the alarm on Twitter, accusing Ugandan authorities of abducting her husband. Kenyans outraged questioned how such a high-profile individual could be smuggled from Nairobi to Kampala without Kenyan security agencies intervening. Senator James Orengo led the charge, directly accusing the Kenyan government of aiding in the abduction. Mr. Besigye did not come to Kenya as a fugitive. The most disturbing question in this saga is that the abduction was carried out by elements of Kenya's security organs. And if that was not so, then it would raise fundamental questions about the ability and authority of our security agencies, Orengo said in a statement posted on his Twitter account. Besigye's wife demanded his immediate release, stating, "I request the Ugandan government to release my husband, Dr. Kizza Besigye, from where he is being held immediately. He was kidnapped last Saturday in Nairobi during Honorable Martha Karua's book launch. We, his family and his lawyers demand to see him. He is not a soldier. Why is he being held in a military jail?" she said.
We are asking again the government of Kenya. Is it, as matters stand today, is it safe for opposition politicians in Uganda to enter Kenya and stay there? Is it safe? Or we are persona non grata now in Kenya? Or Kenyans, or the government of Kenya is complicit in these transgressions, in these violations being perpetrated by the regime forces here? How can they just cross the borders, pick out people who entered Kenya legally and whisk them away with reckless abandon, and the government of Kenya keeps quiet about it with no intervention at all? So we consider them to be complicit in all what is happening. The government of Kenya has to account to us. They owe us an explanation. What is happening with all these illegal kidnaps happening in Kenya and our people being whisked back here illegally. So they owe us an explanation. We are going to pursue that matter. We are not going to let it lie down. We are going to continue. We have time and again raised it. We questioned it. We raised the memorandum with the High Commissioner here. They never responded. We are going to pursue it again.
This isn't the first time such an incident has occurred under the Kenyan police watch. Just 3 months ago, 36 Ugandan activists were arrested in Kisumu and transported across the border, later charged with treason in Uganda courts. They were only recently released on bail after pleading not guilty.
Perhaps in the fullness of time, the real story will come out.
I know Makoha. Makoha is one of the members of NEC at Katonga. I have just learned that Makoha and others were in Kenya. So I'm trying to find out from the institution whether they have sanctioned their travel there or they had gone on their own, because Makoha lives in Busia at the border with Kenya.
While Kenyan police have denied involvement in the kidnapping of Kizza Besigye, with the police spokesperson Resila Atieno claiming nothing has been reported of an abduction, the public remains skeptical. The apparent ease with which Besigye was moved across borders raises uncomfortable questions about Kenya's complicity or incompetence in handling such cases. After the mounting public and international pressure, the Ugandan government released Besigye only to arraign him in court on charges of possessing a firearm in Kenya, a bizarre accusation considering it was Uganda prosecuting him.
Speaking English.
The move did little to assuage fears that Kenya is being used as a playground for politically motivated kidnapping orchestrated by foreign powers. And just recently, you saw a footage of a Turkish man being kidnapped. Did you see that footage on Twitter? Apparently, it is said that this man was kidnapped in Kenyan soil. Our Kenyans are now left wondering whether their country is becoming complicit in silencing dissenting voices across borders. As this saga unfolds, it casts a long shadow over the integrity of President Ruto's government and his ability to protect its sovereignty or its guests.